Cross Timbers. Today is Monday, November 16th, 2015, and this is Texan TV News from the Tarleton State University campus here in Stephenville, Texas, and I am Katie Armstrong. Breaking news from Tarleton State University. According to a university press release, football coach Carrie Fowler has resigned. Tarleton State University Athletic Director Lon Reisman said, "We would like to thank Carrie Fowler for his dedicated service to Tarleton State University and the Texan football program. We wish him the best of luck in his future." Fowler spent the last 6 seasons at the helm of Tarleton football and amassed a total record of 30-22, which includes the 2013 Lone Star Conference Championship with a 7-3 record. His 30 wins as head coach put him 7th all-time among the school's football leaders. Tarleton will begin the search for its 25th head coach in school history immediately. Also in breaking news, this morning on the Stephenville campus regarding an investigation of vandalism. More from this video taken prior to this news broadcast. Breaking news this morning at Tarleton State University. It is not known what time it happened, but shards of glass were found on the ground at the base of the glass tower connected to the O.A. Grant Humanities building. What appears to be bloody footprints were also found next to the glass shards. The footprints, however, will not be tested because according to Chief of Tarleton Police Matt Welch, this is being investigated as a property crime, and that is not normal protocol for this type of investigation. He also told us that no one was hurt as far as the police are aware at this point in time. However, we do know that the Texan News Service newsroom on the 3rd floor and the dean's office on the 2nd floor have been investigated and cleared for class and meetings throughout the day. As you can see in the picture shown, there is a large area of glass missing from the double pane window just below the block T on the glass tower of the O.A. Grant Humanities building. The strange prints next to the glass on the ground are all within the caution tape. The area in question is still taped off and under watch of the Tarleton Police. Also in breaking news, according to the official website of the Office of the Texas Governor, Governor Greg Abbott today sent a letter to President Barack Obama informing him that the state of Texas will not accept any refugees from Syria in the wake of the deadly terrorist attack in Paris. Furthermore, Governor Abbott implored President Obama to halt his plans to accept more Syrian refugees in the United States entirely, as the federal government does not have the background information necessary to effectively conduct proper security checks on Syrian nationals. Governor Abbott said, "Given the tragic attacks in Paris and the threats we have already seen, Texas cannot participate in any program that will result in Syrian refugees, any one of whom could be connected to the terrorism, being resettled in Texas. Effective today, I am directing the Texas Health and Human Services Commission's Refugee Resettlement Program to not participate in the resettlement of any Syrian refugees in the state of Texas. And I urge you, as President, to halt your plans to allow Syrians to be resettled anywhere in the United States. Neither you nor any federal official can guarantee that Syrian refugees will not be part of any terrorist activity. As such, opening our door to them irresponsibly exposes our fellow Americans to unacceptable peril." In sports news, if you thought that you knew the 2015 Yellow Jacket football team, the Stephenville Empire-Tribune says you might want to think again. The Stephenville team that went 3-6 in the regular season wasn't to be seen Friday night in Aledo when they took the field against the District 4 4A champion Decatur Eagles. From the first possession, the Jackets were poised to come away with a victory. By halftime, Stephenville had opened up a 21-0 lead over the Eagles, a deficit that they would never recover from as the game ended with the Yellow Jackets on top at 49-28. The win Friday also marked Winder's first career postseason victory as head coach at Stephenville, something that he mentioned was a good feeling. Stephenville will take on Levelland in Sweetwater next Friday night with a kickoff scheduled for 7:30 p.m. In campus news, Tarleton State University will be implementing new policies stemming from Senate Bill 11 on August 1, 2016, stating that students that hold a concealed handgun license will be able to carry a handgun on campus. In a letter to all students, faculty, and staff regarding establishing campus rules about this new law, Tarleton President Dominic DeTavio says the new law allows some flexibility for universities to determine their own rules for implementing the law, including the ability to establish gun-free zones on campus. DeTavio has put together a campus carry council to help decide on what the rules and regulations here at Tarleton State should be. In a survey sent out campus-wide to Tarleton with over 1,000 responses, feelings regarding the upcoming change at Tarleton are mixed. One respondent said, "Concealed handguns will make Tarleton dramatically less safe. With an increase in guns comes an increased risk for violence. I know that the argument supporting campus concealed carry reasons that if someone on campus starts shooting, that shooter can be brought down more quickly by concealed carry bystanders. However, it also has the potential to add more ambiguity to a terrifying situation. Is there just one active shooter or two? What about those who get caught in the crossfire? More guns on campus definitely increases my own anxieties and fears of violence on campus." Another respondent said, "It is my understanding that the new law only applies to folk with concealed handgun licenses, which is supposed to ensure the carriers are mentally sound, non-criminals, etc. Folk who get concealed handgun licenses do not make me as anxious about gun violence as our violent culture does, and my belief that most gun violence is perpetrated by folk who would, 1, not bother to get a license, and or 2, qualify for one. My concerns also include ones I've heard from law enforcement personnel. How can they tell who's the perpetrator or defender if they both have guns?" Paul Kearney, police officer with 21 years of experience in Air Force security and 3 years of experience as a peace officer, told Texan News the following in a recorded phone interview.
No, I think it's actually a step in the right direction. And again, my opinion is that gun-free zones really are ineffective because the only people that are going to follow that rule are not going to be your problem to begin with. They're not going to be the criminals. So essentially the only people in gun-free zones that are going to be carrying a weapon are the criminals, not the law-abiding people. And so I think they're set up with good intentions, but I just think they're absolutely ineffective. So essentially they become a target for anybody that wants to do something illegal or cause some kind of catastrophe. So I don't think gun-free zones work. So now that we're taking a look at it by saying, okay, now college campuses may allow people to carry a weapon, I think that's the right idea. Because the people that are allowed to carry are the ones that already have concealed handgun licenses. Not that anybody can carry, but just the people with concealed handgun licenses. And those people have already been through training. They've already been vetted. Very few, gun violence incidents happen by people that legally carry a weapon.
Tarleton English and Languages Department professor Dr. Marcy Tanter had a comment for us on the opposite end of the spectrum regarding her campus and classroom.
My concern about having concealed weapons on campus is not that we're going to have an active shooter or that students are going to come shooting in the classrooms, but I am concerned about the possibility of accidents, of guns maybe not stored properly or the safety left off when it's thrown into a backpack or a purse. Backpack gets dropped on the floor, the gun goes off, that kind of thing. I'm a little concerned about people coming to class maybe a little bit hungover or after having had an argument with a close friend or a spouse or a girlfriend or boyfriend and maybe getting into some kind of an argument in the hallway. I've had couples take classes of mine where they've come to class obviously having had a little spat beforehand and they're both kind of grouchy and not looking at each other in a bad mood. And the other thing that I'm quite worried about is that according to the campaign to keep guns off campus, and they used FBI uniform crime statistics and the Clery Act data from 2004 to 2013, and they show that on campuses where there are concealed guns that the sexual assault rate increases. And that is a concern for me. College campuses don't have typically high crime rates, especially places like Tarleton. Our crime rate is pretty low, but I would hate to see it climb. I would hate to see something, happen because people are going to be threatened by handguns.
Opinions and emotions are high on this particular subject. Tarleton Police Lieutenant Alvin Alcon's main concern is offering his students on the Stephenville campus resources to be sure that everyone's safety is accounted for.
There is a committee right now that's gaining input from the community to establish those rules and make the recommendations to the president. So don't really know how that's going to apply. One of the things that we need to remember is that you have to be 21 to actually be able to obtain a license to carry, and you know that's going to limit quite a substantial amount of our students. There will still be some that would do that. I think there's other students that even though they're legal age would choose not to do that. So I think it's going to be a pretty small number that would actually choose to carry while they are on campus. And really don't know how it's going to impact the campus yet. We're going to have to just see how that will take place. And when, from my experience, when the actual concealed handgun law went into effect a number of years ago, some of the things that I was fearful of have not materialized, and I hope that this will be very similar to that. I think that we're trying to do that. You know, there is a committee right now that's looking at some of those things. The police department works in conjunction with the risk manager, the risk management division of the campus. So we're always looking at what can be done. One of the things that we were looking at right now, and I was just talking with the risk manager this week, is there are resources available if a shooting did occur that's already on the train track for the for the system. As to what people can do and how they can protect themselves or what they're faced with. So that's being looked at right now, where you as a student could access that and log in with your student ID and be able to do that training that's available. Our officers, we have one of our sergeants that's also certified as a train the trainer with a CRACE program, CRASE, which is a civilian response to an active shooter event. That was produced by Texas State, and so he's doing some presentations basically with faculty and staff from that aspect. So we're trying to do some things for just awareness, particularly with all the violence, the gun violence that's occurred in our country in recent years.
Views and concerns will continue to be taken into account while making the rules and regulations for Tarleton's campuses. According to the email sent out by Dr. DeTavio, he has asked the Concealed Carry Council to have their recommendations prepared by December 1st in order to submit them for consideration by the Executive Cabinet. These recommendations will then be submitted to the Chancellor and the Board of Regents of the Texas A&M University School System by February 1st, 2016, so that each A&M affiliated school will have their rules confirmed by August 1st when Senate Bill 11 goes into effect. In regional news, the Stephenville Empire-Tribune reports that Stephenville's First National Bank building has been awarded the 2015 Texas Downtown Association President's Award for Best Renovation and Rehabilitation. This award is given by the TDA for buildings regarded by a select panel of judges as the finest historic renovation and rehabilitation in a town with fewer than 50,000 people. This is the first Stephenville building to be awarded this honor by the TDA. The FNB building, which is owned by local attorney Michelle Dunkerley, was constructed in 1889 and remains one of the oldest buildings on Stephenville's historic square. It was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in July 2015, the first building to be listed in 30 years in Erath County. Dunkerley said, "The First National Bank building is obviously a significant structure in the history of Stephenville, what I think is authentic Stephenville. The Stephenville Economic Development Authority is the new tenant upstairs, and we are looking for the kind of retail business that will attract foot traffic downtown. We want something very special in this new space." In 2008, Dunkerley purchased and began rehabilitation of the FNB building, working with Quimby McCoy Architecture Preservation. Lee Evans also did the work on the FNB building, and the restoration was completed in July 2015. Redefenses later purchased the former Dawson Saloon, also located on the Courthouse Square, that is now home to Greer's Ranch Cafe.
Hello, my name is Phil Greer, and I'm the owner of Greer's Ranch Cafe here in Stephenville on the square. We have been open here approximately 14 months. We opened Labor Day weekend last year. We're really happy to be here on the square in Stephenville, and we're seeing somewhat of a rejuvenation of the square, local interest as far as getting people down to the square just to see not only new retail but also some of the historic buildings that are here and buildings that are in the process of being redone and put back as they once were. This building was in the early 1900s. Actually, it was Dawson's Saloon. It has been different retail venues since then. The building here actually took about a year and a half to put together and do as much as we can to make it really as it once was from the outside and a lot on the inside. Across the street, catty corner to us, the First National Bank building has just been completed, and that building is historic designated building, and we're really happy to see that the way it's been redone. That building is actually in historic condition just as it was in the early 1900s. So we're looking forward to a tenant being in the ground floor, hopefully a retail store that will really help with foot traffic on the square. The upstairs is a really beautiful office area that has been leased. So we're really looking forward to what's happening on the square. There are a couple of other buildings that are in the process of being redone, and the revitalization of the square is really coming about. So we're glad to be here, and it's looking good for what we're doing.
In state news, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reports that more than 70 white supremacists who are members of the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas have been imprisoned as part of a years-long federal effort to weaken the gang known for killings, robberies, and other crimes. The incarcerations include 5 generals, the Brotherhood's highest rank. The August conviction of James Lamarck Byrd in Tarrant County was considered by prosecutors as a major takedown. Byrd rose to prominence within the gang during his previous time in federal prison, where he ordered several inmates stabbed. The Aryan Brotherhood had grown into one of the most dangerous and racist prison gangs in Texas. According to Southern Poverty Law Center fellow Mark Potok, the SPLC was founded in 1971 in the wake of the Civil Rights Movement to advocate on behalf of the disenfranchised. They monitor a wide variety of organizations throughout the U.S. that it labels as hate groups for beliefs or practices that the SPLC says attack or malign an entire class of people. A federal task force went after the group on charges including racketeering, conspiracy, murder in aid of racketeering, and obstruction of justice, along with many others. Steve Lair, a Homeland Security investigator assigned to the Aryan Brotherhood of Texas task force, said, "Never before in the history of law enforcement has the RICO statute been used to take down the leadership of a large prison gang like this." According to Tarrant County prosecutors Lisa Calligan, there has been an increase in violence as the gang restructures. She added, "You get violence up and down the chain in organizations like this." Also in state news, a cattle truck overturned on a highway in Mesquite, Texas early Thursday morning, leaving many of the animals dead. KDFW reports that a dip in the road caused the cattle to move one side of the truck, causing the trailer to flip. The driver and passenger were not hurt in the incident. KDFW video shows officials attempting to wrangle some of the cows into an additional truck as traffic moves slowly on the highway. In national news, people around the world have come together to mourn the attack on Paris, France. Officials told the Associated Press on Sunday that hours after the synchronized attacks that terrorized Paris, French police questioned and released the suspect, who is now the focus of an international manhunt. Salah Absalom, 26, was one of 3 men in a getaway car headed for France's border with Belgium when police pulled them over after daybreak on Saturday. The French president had already announced new border controls to prevent the perpetrators from escaping. Hours had passed since investigators identified Absalom as the renter of a Volkswagen Polo that carried hostage takers to the Paris theater, where almost 3/4 of the 129 victims were killed. It's not clear why the local French police didn't take Absalom into custody. They checked his identification, but it's not known whether they had been informed of his apparent connection to the attacks. The day before the attacks, senior Iraqi intelligence officials warned France and other members of the U.S.-led coalition fighting the Islamic State that assaults by the militant group could be imminent. By Sunday night, French authorities put out a public appeal for help locating Absalom, showing his mugshot and warning that he is too dangerous to be confronted. One of his brothers had detonated a suicide vest down the street from the theater. Another was ultimately detained in Belgium, officials said. Authorities have said little about the fate of the third teen, which drove a rented seat compact that carried out a rampage of drive-by shootings on bars and eateries in eastern Paris. One police official said the seat dropped off of the brother in Absalom, who blew himself up at a restaurant. The car was later found abandoned. Also, in national news, the National Park Service is proposing a new statue of Lady Liberty Museum to replace the one located inside Lady Liberty. Currently, it is only accessible to visitors who buy a ticket to the statue's pedestal or crown. More from this Associated Press video.
The National Park Service and our partner, the Statue of Liberty Ellis Island Foundation, think it's a very good idea to take the current museum experience, which is located here in the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty, and move it to a freestanding building so more people can experience it. Right now, about 20% of our 4 million visitors are able to obtain tickets to get into the pedestal where the museum is located. By taking this really great collection, and we have a replica of her face and a replica of her foot and cast models from the studios where the statue was built, and the entire history of the statue and also what she means to people. To take that all out to a place where more people can experience it really strikes us as a very good idea. We figure it's about a 20,000 square foot building, which would be located on the east side of the flagpole at Liberty Island. That's the far side from the Statue of Liberty.
As we approach Liberty Island today,
the Statue of Liberty is always going to be the primary feature of Liberty Island. We don't ever want to take that experience away. And so whatever we design is going to be quite a distance from the Statue of Liberty. It will respect the sight lines from the top of Fort Wood. That's the star-shaped fort that the statue is built on. So we don't expect the museum to visually be the primary feature in any way, but we do expect the museum to help tell the story of the Statue of Liberty.
I think it gives it texture. It kind of completes and fills in the gaps. And so to make it accessible to anyone that comes out to the island would make sense to me.
And now we turn to Dalton Wolverton, bringing you the weather from the National Weather Service.
It's currently 65 degrees here in Stephenville, Texas, and as you can see, we have very cloudy skies this morning. We should see a high of 73 degrees with a low of 53 tonight. We've got winds out of the south at 10 miles an hour and 88% humidity. Back to you, Katie.
Today's broadcast was produced by Alejandra Arguin, Katie Tonkin, Justin Pack, and Dalton Wolverton. You can watch Texan TV News live Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. on Northland Cable Channel 9. Don't forget to tell your friends about us and become a fan of Texan TV News on Facebook. I am Katie Armstrong. Tune in on Monday for the latest news from the Tarleton State University campus here in Stephenville, Texas.